Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club. If you're at all interested in anything we talk about in this episode, go ahead and check out the description down below. Or if you even just want to know more about us, click on the links below. Now on to the episode.
Yes, Coffee Experts Club. Drew Moody. Forget Ben Clatterbuck, dude. We don't need that guy. Like, what do we need that guy for? Like, Ben, we miss you, dude. We miss you already. But Ben had some plumbing problems at the house today. So he said, hey, Aaron, you and Drew are up. And so Coffee Experts, Drew and I are what you get.
Sorry, guys. Just kidding. Ben is the man. His hat rack is extensively growing consistently because he's always wearing new hats. And today he's wearing his plumber hat. I'm thinking, you got a plumber at your house. He should do the job. And he's like, no, I need to be in there helping him.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. Well, hey, I thought what we could talk about today, Drew, is, the gift that Belize has given you and I, right? So Coffee Experts, if you join us for the first time, Drew and I have the first drive-through coffee in the country of Belize. We've been under the hoods of dozens and dozens of coffee businesses here in the U.S. We took the best of everything that we learned and we rolled up into a package and we brought it down to some place that was blue ocean, someplace where there was nobody else doing drive-through coffee. And it's been a great opportunity for us. We've grown 3 locations in 3 years, which feels pretty badass. And everything down there has had to be cash. So there's, we weren't able to just go take loans from the bank. So it's been a wild freaking ride for me and Drew when it comes to things we thought we understood about coffee, but then you get into a third world country and the whole game changes because honestly, one of the biggest shifts has been things aren't as convenient. You don't have cash and carry or US Foods or whatever it is, and whatever they're calling it this month down the street that you can go just pick stuff up from. You don't have delivery dropping off to you as frequently. Amazon isn't a thing. So it's like you got to really think through what you're doing, and it's caused Drew and I to really challenge some things. But I think the gift of that, Coffee Experts, we talked to you today, is sometimes challenging the norm is a good thing. I think we can get really just set into our rhythms that this is just how we do things, and we don't circle back around and say, yeah, but is that still the best idea? Is that still the best way to do things just because that's always the way we've been doing things? Drew, do you have thoughts on that in general before we jump into the topic on hand?
I think that one of the most valuable things we can have as business leaders and just people for our own health is the ability to assess a situation, make a change when it's necessary. And you just breezed right over my biggest headache that I've experienced down here, and that's unstable power, which has been blowing up our machines like fireworks. And so we've had to really rethink. We're so loyal to our brand, to La Marzocco. We love La Marzocco machines, but looking into the specs, the power specs, well, they draw as much power as a regular Belizean household here. So we've had to call an audible on that one. So I do think no matter what the situation, occasionally taking some time to reassess where you're standing and where you're going is going to save you a lot of headaches downstream.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that what we could talk about today, we've started doing something in Belize that you and I swore we'd never do. In fact, the funny part is we talked to other coffee shops on this show early on that were doing some of the things that we are now deciding that we should do. And we're like, no, why would you ever do that? No, that's not smart. Like, just do this. How much time is that costing you? How much money is that costing you? But we've really had to reconsider it. And that is specifically around production. At coffee shops, a lot of times we'll always advocate for, hey, keep it simple, man. Don't do a bunch of extra stuff. Like, be careful how much food you're getting involved in because you're distracting your baristas from serving the customer. Be careful on how deep you go into certain ends of things. Like, coffee is beautiful when you keep it simple. We're talking about fast times, right? We're talking about good exchange with people and quality of product, right? Speed, service, strength. That's our core that we stick to, and that's what we always talk about. But what we've had to do down in Belize is really challenge when it comes to cost of goods sold. And that's what I'd like to talk about today is cost of goods sold, like what goes into your drinks, and are you thinking about how much you're spending? And could there be a faster, better, cheaper way so that you're driving down your costs and automatically growing your profit because you're dropping what you're paying for each drink that you're putting out the window. So, Drew, you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've been challenging? And I think specifically, I think it was Lindsay at Outsider that was telling us she was producing her own syrups back in probably 2 or 3 years ago. We're like, no, don't do that. But actually, we've pivoted back into actually producing our own syrups. You want to talk to people why?
Yeah, so we take for granted so much in the States, so much. And I'm realizing that the longer that I'm here, and it doesn't even come to mind that there's already a system. Right. Think of, I need to charge my phone, right? So I look for an outlet and I plug my phone into the outlet. Thank God that outlet exists, right? Because we don't have to create it up. So the same thing with the coffee world. It's kind of hard for us to learn how to innovate in the US because it's a system, it's been built, it's been battle tested, it's been tried. and it's been well supported by neighboring industries. And so it can be
Right.
kind of difficult to look like through a P&L or walk into a store and say, okay, well, I'm getting my syrups for $9. Could I produce them for $1 less? And is that saving that dollar really worth all the headache, time, and money I'll have to put into this thing? Well,
Right.
we have had that entire privilege of the system kicked out from underneath us here. Like there wasn't even cross-country delivery really as far as like a solid infrastructure when we first arrived. And so we were, paying taxis to run across the country or to get some beans for us or something like that. I say across the country, that's like 2 hours, like 3 hours.
Right.
It's not like the States, right? So we've had this wonderful challenge of there's no outlet for us to plug our business into. We set the business down and then realized the infrastructure didn't necessarily exist to support us. So one of the reasons we started creating our own syrups was out of necessity, cost necessity. We're importing stuff. It costs 40% on top of the product cost to import stuff, which we just,
Which we weren't
we know.
expecting. We didn't expect, like, how can you know that stuff until you start doing it, right? And so we just assumed these systems we've always used are going to use it, ship it down there. We didn't realize it's the freaking Wild West, and they decide what they're going to charge you as it comes over the border.
Yeah, we never thought about, what do we call it, tariffs nowadays, right? Or duty, like a tax duty is what they call it here. We never thought about it because in the States, everything is already, it's worked into the cost. So when I'm like, oh, I'm importing syrups, and they're like, yeah, that'll be $500. And I was like, wait a second, my syrups themselves only cost about $300. So it's just this, it's been repeatedly challenging the way that we would have run a business in the States, which is much more simple. And of course, not to say that it's easy and doesn't come with its own complexities. But here, we were just talking about this before the show. One thing that we really had to sharpen is our, versatility tool and our ability to pivot quickly and efficiently, which we've always talked about. It's nice to have a smaller 3, 4, 5 stores because you can send out a text and overnight all your stores will hopefully be doing something different. Whereas when you grow to 10, 15, 20 stores, it's kind of systematic and might take a long time to roll something out. So here, as we've grown, we've tried to assess like, okay, where is Belize going? And to Belize's credit, it has come a long ways in the last 3.5 years, not because of us, but while we've been here, I've been able to see that. So just facing challenge after challenge of cost efficiency, of product availability. We've had to really get industrious with how we are approaching the business itself and how we can stay relevant in the community. Because now there's tons of coffee shops here. It's suddenly not a blue ocean anymore. We came in and now it's one of the most popular things anybody wants to do. There's one on every corner, right? So infrastructure, as I mentioned, for neighboring businesses such as like a Tarani or like a Da Vinci or like a US Foods or what's the one that does delivery? I forget the name. It's Medisco down here, Cisco. There's no Cisco here, right? So those neighboring industries are going to probably be built in the next few years to support this industry because it's new. But we ourselves have had to learn how to kind of find out how to support ourselves as an island.
Yeah. No, I think that, and what that really comes down to is like, obviously you're building out the infrastructure, you have to come up with the systems, but really guys, as simple as we can keep it for coffee experts is how much does it cost you to put that liquid into a cup, right? Like how much does the cup cost you? How much does the lid cost you? How much does it cost you to put it out the window, right? Because that's going to be the base for all of your profit, right? Like there are all these things that you probably don't take in consideration. Like the air conditioning goes down, like, well, that's going to have to be loaded back into the cost of a cup, right? Like there's a problem with, you have an issue where, like our water pressure isn't good enough at our north location. We're going to have to invest in some sort of pump that pushes the pressure. Like, well, that all has to load back into a cup, right? Like we have to come up with like, how much profit are we making out of these cups or these pastries or whatever the goods are that we come out the other side. But you have to get really tight then on, well, you better understand then what it costs for this cup because we need to know how much profit is there, right? So when it comes to things like creating your own syrups, for us, we found, well, paying import on this syrup radically started to increase our cost of goods. But if we could start producing this on our own, then it's actually going to drop our cost of goods, which gives us profit back. And then we can multiply it out across how many cups we're serving by each location and then hold it against our profit and loss statement and really figure out where can we expect to end up at the end of the month. But the thing I want to talk about today was, so we moved to production, right? Because it was able to drop our COGs. As you're listening to this, think to yourself, how could you drop your COGs, your cost of goods sold? How can you drop whatever it costs you to put ingredients in a cup? Because that's where your money's at, right? right? How can I drop my cost enough? Because you don't want to keep raising your price on your customers. That doesn't feel good. Your guests don't like that. They don't like every time they come in that you're having to raise your pricing, and I would say structured price raises are part of our model here at Coffee Experts. We'll teach you that. But I do think you don't want that to be your knee jerk every time, right? You don't want to be changing your prices every quarter. Like, you need to be thinking through these things. So I would say dropping COGs, right? Thinking through timetable of when you raise your prices. But for us, producing syrups was something that we could really do. But we then began to think, wait a minute. Does it make sense for us to pay an hourly rate for people to come in and produce syrups? Because what if they just milk the clock, right? So it took her all day to produce 3 bottles of syrups. Like, she's getting paid either way. So what if we thought about, no, a better way that we can incentivize, a best way we can drop our COGs is, like, how could we incentivize this worker to actually produce as much as she is possibly able to do and reward her for it? And we came down to a part of, this isn't an hourly worker. It's not like a barista making tips. This is something, no, let's create a contractor relationship and contract with this person and say, hey, like, we'll contract with you to make bottles of syrup and we'll pay you by the bottle. That way, if you produce more for us faster, you're going to benefit, right? Like, it only took you 2 hours to produce all of our order of syrups. Awesome. We'll pay you for all the order and not have you milk that 2 hours of work that you put in across a 10-hour work session that week. And therefore, we're thinking about, how do we drop our costs? How do we and reward the person that's going to come in there and work and be ambitious? And in the same time, realize we're here to challenge the norm. Not everybody probably should be an hourly employee. So, Drew, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, thanks for zooming me back in, because I could tend to take it a little philosophically and zoom out far, and you rein me back in. So
good.
I think that it's also healthy because there are, as we're running into with clients who are growing, there are employee thresholds. Once you start getting into bigger business, you start becoming liable for insurance and providing benefits and certain, there's bigger, more bureaucratic things that you have to deal with as you grow. So I do think that experimenting with contractor relationships is super healthy, because that person also benefits. It's not like you're taking advantage of anybody. It's like, no, you're a contractor, you're independent. You kind of have your own schedule. We have like loose deadlines because you're a contractor. I mean, we experimented. It's not like we just birthed this system overnight. It was like a year or something of us kind of experimenting with time spent, product produced, and then, overall satisfaction on the employees' end and our end, until we came up with what was fair. What's a fair price? What are we paying for ingredients? What's fair for their time? And we've kind of replicated that across a couple of different systems. We have marketing contractor. Here we have someone who creates another kind of product for us. So I think approaching these types of things from outside the box and using your data, we have data on everything. What were we paying before for our caramel and our hazelnuts, and what are we going to be paying now? And how much can we benefit ourselves, and how much can we benefit this person that's going to be working with us? Because ultimately, we're a really relational business. Any coffee shop is, well, maybe not, the billion-dollar companies, but us little guys, it's all relational. It's all really woven into the community. And so how can we really give back to the community in a way that's going to benefit our business too? We want to be giving, right? But we can't give so much that we give away the bottom line. So approaching these problems from that mindset has helped us create a pretty nice relationship with people in our community, because it's not just like a hard line. You're employed with us, you do X, Y, Z, and you go home. And we have these little, outliers of people who kind of have a free independence and autonomy within a structured system, but they're not, married to the 9-to-5 version or the policies of being a barista, or it's kind of expanded the way that our business operates, which has been a really nice exercise, because then we can also look back internally at how we're treating these employees that work with us and provide opportunities through that avenue as well.
I think it's important. What you said was really good. And that is, as you're listening to this, and I hope it's challenging your mind, the hope for this show is that you're challenging your mind on, does it have to be done this way? The way we've always done, does it have to be done that way? And that's where we got to with syrup production. Was we had started at an hourly rate, and then there was a lot of frustration around how much was being produced. And it seemed like we had a couple of people doing it, and it would seem like some of them could produce a lot faster than others of them. And so then it was like, do we want another disciplinary problem? Like, do we want another thing where we're having to just ride somebody's ass on how hard or how fast they're working? Or how could we create a system that actually rewards people for working harder and faster? And that's where this whole thing came out of, was if what our goal is to get bottles produced in a timeline that we are happy with, how can I incentivize people to get there faster. And the way we can do that is pay you by the bottle. I don't care how much time it takes you. Get it down to falling as tight as you can get it, because you're going to get paid by the bottle instead of this many bottles is going to take to produce. And somebody's like, well, I'll come in on Monday. I'll have it done by Friday. I'll be on my phone. I'll dick around a little bit. Why push myself? Why sweat? Why stress? Well, no. Like, let's take that whole, I want to get away from that work ethic. So the way it's going to be is, hey, this is the order. This is when it needs to be done by. If you can get it done faster, I'm going to pay you the same. If you get it done in 2 hours, it's 20 hours. So get it down as tight as you can. They are rewarded. We get what we want. And so the challenge I'd like to throw out there for any of you, because Drew, we were just in another situation like this for another coffee shop that you had to do a deep forensic audit on baked goods, right? Like they had brought baking in-house, and like the owner was like, hey, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, and could you pull these numbers apart and compare them to these numbers? So always use the data. If you've been doing something and you're worried you've been taken advantage of, challenge it and ask yourself, does it have to be done that way, or could I do it some way a little bit different? And how could I incentivize the behavior pattern that I'm wanting by the way that I'm paying, and realize you're not stuck into doing it the way you've always done it. Like, ask yourself, if this is a product I'm trying to produce, that's probably different than customer facing, customer serving, hours of operation that you're open. It's two different behavior patterns, right? So think to yourself, are there products that you're producing or thinking about producing that you're still treating like an hourly employee? Or maybe you're thinking, well, my hourly employees could do this while they're doing what they're doing. I would say just be careful and be aware that, yeah, but they're probably going to be distracted. And you need to ask yourself, is that worth it for you? Or should you peel this off and do it totally separate? And like Drew said, could it get you out of some of the parameters of, wow, it's another employee. That's another, I've got to now provide paying taxes on that employee. I've got to now provide some sort of health benefit for that employee. I've got to treat them like employees are required to in the States, or say, no, this is a contractor relationship. I'm not going to tell you when you have to be here. I'm not going to try and control your schedule. And all I'm going to tell you is, this is the output that we desire. You're on your own dime, and I'm going to pay you as a 1099 contractor.
Yeah, I'd like to think about it like this. Like, one thing we kind of struggle with, as probably universally as coffee shops, is speed, right? We want people to be fast in the coffee shops. And if we were able to and had the money to, and it made sense to provide the structure where you get paid by each drink you make, I guarantee a barista would not stop making drinks and not slow down the entire time they were on shift, because they're pumping out $1 every time they send out a drink, which would change the way they think about their job. And not only that, but they would then start to police their own quality, because that's a pretty sick gig. You know what I mean? If the faster I work, the more money I make.
Yeah.
No matter how long I work, I can make tons more money. It's like sales, you know what I mean? There's really no limit as long as you can work fast and work well. Something also we deal with that we've been concerned with is quality, right? Well, this person likes their job because we've set it up in a way that really benefits them. And so they police quality as well. It's as we want our managers to own their stores, own the processes, own the disciplinary actions, own the barista trajectory. So we also have provided that opportunity to this production person, because they want to do a good job. They want to produce, let's say, like a strawberry syrup, and then watch a barista serve it to a customer, and the customer makes a weird face. They're like, oh, I got to go try that. See what's wrong with that. Or on the flip side, they see the customer have a nice experience. They go, okay, this is great. Things are good. I'm doing a good job as the production person. And so, I mean, the growth-minded people who are running business, some people want to run a business and want to work in the business, and they're happy doing that, and that's perfect. If you want 2, 3, 4 stores and you're just totally stoked on that, that's more power to you. That's amazing. But if you want to really grow and start creating systems, you can't be managing everything. You know, you can't be trying every drink. You can't be tasting every syrup. You can't be watching every process. So really what we want to do is create something where the processes manage themselves, and all we have to do is review the outcomes. And so when we did set up a system of like, okay, you're getting paid by each product that you produce, well, then we're not really watching her time card. You know what I mean? We're watching how much is produced and when it's done. And that's much easier than seeing, okay, well, they worked 8 hours and they made 7 bottles. It's like, well, what really happened? What's going on there? You know what I mean? And then providing structure and instruments for your control. So obviously producing things takes product, right? And so we've tried out different ways of purchasing product, tracking product, but as much control as you can have over the process is going to benefit you in the long run. Because again, you're not managing a vendor, right? Let's say we need 100 pounds of sugar a month. Well, we know how to buy that. We know how to store it. We know how to keep it. It's not like a repetitive delivery process. Now, that's obviously just one example. But when you can bring those things in-house, when you can manage those things, it clears your plate to do higher level duties, because now, again, you're just looking at the end result. You're not looking at every piece in between.
Yeah. So I would say take home from all this. If you don't have any idea what your drinks are costing you, we created a great tool at Coffee Experts. If you go to menu.coffeeexpertsacademy.com, free gift, free tool for you. You can plug in all the different ingredients that go into your drinks. It shakes out for you exactly what your cup cost should be. There's a spot where you can go then vet it against your competitors. Ask yourself, are you in alignment with what other competitors are charging? It's a great little tool. We designed it for another coffee shop, and so you're benefiting from other great coffee shops out there using it. Menu.coffeeexpertsacademy.com. Otherwise, my encouragement to you is this: challenge the norm. Think through, how can I get my COGs as low as they can possibly be? How can I stay in line with what coffee is and what people are charging for coffee in my environment? And then all of us, that we would, continue to grow. Don't settle. Don't settle on what it's always been. Make sure you're always pushing yourself. So, Drew Moody, thanks for joining me on the show, brother. Coffee Experts, thanks for hanging out with us for another Coffee Experts Club. See you back here next week on Coffee Experts Club.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.